Lauren was reaching for her coffee when she saw it happen. The woman was young, maybe mid-20s, professional dress, hurrying down the sidewalk with her phone pressed to her ear, completely oblivious to the black van that had been slowly following her for the past block. Lauren had noticed the van because she'd been trained to notice things. Not formally trained, just the kind of awareness that came from living in a city where you learned to pay attention or became a statistic. The van pulled ahead of the woman and stopped abruptly. Two men jumped out fast, coordinated, clearly practiced at this. One grabbed the woman's arm. The other moved to block her escape route. The woman screamed. Lauren's coffee hit the ground, forgotten. Everything happened in seconds. The men were trying to force the woman toward the van's open door. She was fighting, clawing, kicking, making as much noise as possible. Smart, drawing attention. But the street was oddly empty for a Tuesday afternoon. Just Lauren, the woman, the two men, and a car screeched to a stop behind the van. A sleek black sedan that looked expensive even in motion. The driver's door opened and a man stepped out with such absolute authority that even from 30 feet away, Lauren felt the shift in atmosphere. He was tall, dark-haired, wearing a suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. But it wasn't his appearance that made the two attackers freeze. It was something else. Some quality of presence that commanded immediate attention. "Let her go," the man said. His voice was quiet but carried across the space like a gunshot. One of the attackers turned. "This doesn't concern you. It concerns me now. Let her go." The second attacker clearly recognized him. Lauren saw the moment recognition hit, the way his face paled, the way he immediately released the woman's arm and stepped back. "Mr. Volkov," the man said quickly. "We didn't know, we weren't told." Clearly, the man Volkov moved forward with predatory grace. "Who sent you?" We can't say." "Yes, you can. And you will. Unless you'd prefer I make inquiries through less pleasant channels." The first attacker pulled out a gun. Lauren's breath caught. But Volkov didn't even flinch. He just looked at the weapon with what could only be described as bored disappointment. "Really? That's your play?" He pulled out his phone. "Marcus, I'm at the corner of 5th and Morrison. I need a cleanup crew and two very stupid men taken somewhere they can think about their career choices." He said it so casually, like he was ordering takeout rather than, arranging kidnapping? Execution? Lauren's mind raced through horrible possibilities. The woman who'd been attacked stumbled backward, free now, looking between her attackers and her rescuer with clear confusion about which was the greater threat. "You should go," Volkov told her, not unkindly. "Walk to the nearest public place. Coffee shop, restaurant, somewhere with people. Stay there for an hour. Someone will come to talk to you about relocating temporarily." "Who are you?" the woman asked, voice shaking. "Someone who doesn't tolerate kidnapping in my city. Go. Now." The woman ran. The two attackers looked at each other, clearly trying to decide if they should run too. But before they could move, two more cars pulled up. Men emerged, large, professional, moving with military precision. Volkov gestured to the attackers. "Take them to the warehouse. Find out who hired them. Be persuasive but not permanent. I want information, not bodies." "Yes, sir." The attackers were efficiently removed. The van was driven away. Within 2 minutes, the street looked completely normal. Like nothing had happened, except Lauren had seen everything. And she'd just made a critical mistake. She'd stayed visible, watching, when she should have disappeared the moment things got dangerous. Now Volkov was looking directly at her, those dark eyes assessing with uncomfortable precision. "You," he said. "How long have you been standing there?" Lauren's mouth went dry. Since it started. I saw the whole thing." "Of course you did." He walked toward her, and Lauren fought the urge to run. "What's your name?" Lauren. "I'm Sebastian Volkov." He said it like she should recognize the name. When she didn't react, something like amusement flickered across his face. "You have no idea who I am, do you?" "Should I?" "Most people in this city do. But you're clearly not most people." He stopped a few feet away, maintaining careful distance. "Did you record any of that on your phone?" "No, I dropped my coffee. Lauren gestured to the spilled cup on the sidewalk. Good. That's good. Sebastian pulled out his phone and made a call. Victor, I need a trace on a kidnapping attempt. Fifth and Morrison, approximately 3 minutes ago. 2 operators. Black van, professional execution. Find out who contracted them and why. He paused, listening. Yes, I'm aware it's not our neighborhood. That's what concerns me. Someone's either expanding territory or sending a message. He hung up and looked at Lauren again. You saw everything. Which means you're now a witness to an attempted crime. And possibly a complication. I won't tell anyone, Lauren said quickly. No. Sebastian agreed. You won't. Because I can't afford to trust that you won't. Lauren felt ice slide down her spine. What does that mean? It means you're coming with me until I figure out what that kidnapping attempt was about and whether you seeing it puts you in danger. You're kidnapping me? I'm protecting you. There's a difference. I don't need protection. Sebastian's expression was almost pitying. Lauren, those men tried to grab someone in broad daylight on a busy street. That's either desperation or confidence that they won't face consequences. Either way, it means whoever hired them is dangerous. And if they think you're a witness who could identify them ... double quotes, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. So what? I just go with you. Trust that you're not worse than whoever hired those men. Yes, Sebastian said simply. Because right now, I'm the only thing standing between you and people who eliminate witnesses. Lauren looked around. The street was still empty. No one to call for help. No one who'd witnessed what she'd witnessed. She was alone with a man who'd just arranged for 2 people to be taken to the warehouse for interrogation. A man who clearly had resources and power, and absolutely no hesitation about using them. Do I have a choice? She asked. Sebastian considered the question seriously. Technically, yes. You could refuse and walk away, but that would be a very bad decision. The kind people don't recover from. That sounds like a threat. It's an observation. I'm offering protection, Lauren. Whether you're smart enough to accept it is up to you. Lauren weighed her options. Run and hope whoever tried to kidnap that woman didn't come after her too. Or go with this dangerous stranger who seemed to control the situation with frightening ease. Neither option was good. But one felt marginally less likely to get her killed. Okay, she said. But I want to call someone. Let them know where I am. No phones. Not until I know who's behind this and why. You can't just cut me off from... Yes, I can. And I am. Sebastian's tone left no room for argument. This isn't a negotiation, Lauren. You're in danger whether you realize it or not. I'm taking steps to ensure that danger doesn't materialize into something worse. A car pulled up, different from the ones that had taken the attackers. This one was even more expensive, with windows so dark Lauren couldn't see inside. Get in, Sebastian said, opening the back door. Lauren hesitated one more second, then climbed in. Sebastian followed, and the car pulled away smoothly. The interior was luxurious leather seats, subtle lighting, technology built into every surface. The kind of car that cost more than Lauren made in a year. Where are we going? She asked. Somewhere safe. Somewhere no one will think to look for you. That's not an answer. It's the only answer you're getting right now. They drove in silence for several minutes. Lauren studied Sebastian from the corner of her eye. He was on his phone, typing rapidly, occasionally making brief calls in what sounded like Russian. Finally, she couldn't take the silence anymore. Who are you? Really? Sebastian looked up from his phone. I told you. Sebastian Volkov. That name should mean something to me. In certain circles, yes. But you clearly don't move in those circles, which is actually fortunate for you. What circles? He studied her for a moment, like he was deciding how much to tell her. I manage operations throughout this city. Import, export, various business interests, some legal, some less legal. You're a criminal. I'm a businessman who operates in spaces where traditional, legal structures don't effectively reach. He slipped his phone into his pocket. But if it makes you feel better to use the word criminal, go ahead. And those men you had taken away? What's going to happen to them? They're going to tell me who hired them and why. Then, depending on the answers, they'll either be released with a strong warning or dealt with more permanently. The casual way he said, dealt with more permanently, made Lauren's stomach turn. You're going to kill them? Probably not. Killing creates complications, police involvement, revenge cycles, media attention. I prefer solutions that don't generate additional problems. He looked at her directly. But I will do what's necessary to protect my interests. And right now, keeping you safe is part of protecting my interests. Why? You don't know me. Because you witnessed something that could become a larger problem. Because those men will report that someone interfered with their operation. Because whoever hired them will want to know who stopped them and whether there are witnesses. He paused. You're a loose end, Lauren. And people who hire kidnappers don't leave loose ends untied. The car turned into an underground parking garage. They descended several levels before stopping in a private section with only a few other vehicles, all expensive, all screaming money and power. Stay close to me, Sebastian instructed as they got out. Don't speak to anyone. Don't make eye contact. Just walk where I walk. They took an elevator that required a key card to operate. It rose smoothly, no floor numbers visible. When the doors opened, they stepped directly into an apartment. Not just any apartment. A penthouse that made Lauren's studio look like a closet. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, furniture that belonged in magazines, art on the walls that might be original. This is where you're staying? Lauren asked. This is one of several properties I maintain. No one outside my inner circle knows about this one. You'll be safe here. For how long? Until I determine the threat is neutralized. Sebastian walked to a phone mounted on the wall and pressed a button. Marcus, we're secure. I need a full workup on the incident within the hour. And get me everything on active kidnapping contracts in the city. He hung up and turned back to Lauren. There's food in the kitchen, clothes in the guest room that should fit reasonably well. Bathroom is fully stocked. Everything you need for a comfortable stay. Except my freedom. Except that, yes. But consider it a trade temporary loss of freedom in exchange for continued existence. You have a very dark view of the world. I have a realistic view. Which is why I'm still alive when many people in my profession aren't. Lauren walked to the windows and looked out at the city. From this height, everything looked peaceful, orderly, nothing like the violence she'd witnessed on the street. What's your profession exactly? She asked without turning around. I told you. I manage operations. That's vague. Intentionally so. Lauren turned to face him. If I'm stuck here, if I'm trusting you to keep me safe, I deserve to know who you actually are. Sebastian considered this. Then he walked to a cabinet, poured 2 glasses of whiskey, and handed one to Lauren. I run the Volkov organization. We control most of the underground economy in this city, gambling, certain imports, protection services, and various other enterprises that exist in legal gray areas. I inherited this position from my father, who built it from nothing over 40 years. I employ approximately 200 people directly and influence the livelihoods of several thousand more indirectly. He took a sip of whiskey before continuing. I'm what law enforcement would call a mafia boss. What the media would call a crime lord. What I prefer to think of as a manager of alternative economic structures. He looked at her directly. Does that frighten you? Lauren took a drink of the whiskey. It was excellent, of course, and thought about her answer. It should, she said honestly. But right now? Right now, I'm more frightened of whoever tried to kidnap that woman. Smart. They're the immediate threat. Sebastian set down his glass. I need to make some calls, handle the situation. The guest room is down that hall. Second door on the left. Try to rest. This might take a while. What if I try to leave? You won't get far. This building has security at every exit, all of whom answer to me. And even if you made it to the street, you'd be more vulnerable than you are here. He paused at the doorway. You're not a prisoner, Lauren. You're a protected witness. There's a difference. Feels like the same thing. Then you've never been an actual prisoner. He left, and Lauren was alone in a luxury penthouse, protected by a man who just admitted to being a crime boss, hiding from people who might want to kill her for witnessing something she barely understood. Her coffee-stained work clothes felt absurdly out of place among all this wealth and danger. Lauren finished her whiskey and went to find the guest room. If she was stuck here, she might as well be comfortable. Tomorrow she'd figure out how to survive this. Tonight, she'd just try to process that her normal Tuesday had become a nightmare. Lauren woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows. For a disorienting moment, she couldn't remember where she was. Then it all came flooding back: the kidnapping attempt, Sebastian Volkov being brought to this penthouse. She looked at her phone. Dead. Of course. And she'd left her charger in her apartment. Lauren found the kitchen and discovered it was indeed well stocked. She made coffee, good coffee, the kind she couldn't normally afford, and was halfway through her first cup when Sebastian appeared. He looked like he hadn't slept. Same clothes from yesterday, tie loosened, hair slightly disheveled. But his eyes were sharp, alert. "Good morning," he said. "Sleep well?" As well as someone being held in a luxury prison can sleep. Still holding on to that narrative. "I see." He poured himself coffee. "I have an update on the situation if you're interested." "I'm interested." Sebastian leaned against the counter. "The men I had questioned last night were hired by a trafficking organization based in Brooklyn. The woman they tried to take is named Jennifer Morrison. She's an assistant district attorney." Lauren's stomach dropped. They were trying to kidnap a prosecutor? Yes, apparently she's been building a case against several trafficking rings. Someone decided to eliminate that problem before she could file charges, and I witnessed the attempt. Which means the people who hired those men now know their operation was compromised. They'll be looking for witnesses, loose ends, anyone who might have information. Sebastian set down his coffee. "You're in more danger than I initially thought." "How much more danger?" "The kind where disappearing is the preferred solution rather than intimidation." Lauren felt cold despite the warm coffee in her hands. "You're saying they'd kill me? If they knew you existed and could identify anyone involved, yes. Which is why no one can know you're here or that you saw anything. For how long?" "Until I neutralize the threat, or arrange for you to disappear somewhere they'll never find you." "Disappear? I have a life, a job, an apartment." Sebastian's expression softened slightly. "I know, and I'm sorry, but staying visible right now is a death sentence. You have to trust me on this." "Trust you? I don't even know you." "No, but I'm the only thing standing between you and people who traffic human beings for profit. So yes, you're going to have to trust me. At least for now." Lauren wanted to argue, to fight, to insist this was all wrong. But the logic was sound. Horrible, but sound. "What happens to Jennifer Morrison? The woman they tried to take?" "She's been moved to a secure location. Federal protection. She'd be safe while she builds her case." Sebastian picked up his coffee again. "Which, incidentally, I'm now supporting. Trafficking is one of the few things I don't tolerate in my city. Those organizations will be dismantled, with or without official legal channels. You're helping the prosecutor?" "I'm eliminating competition that violates my operational ethics. If that happens to align with law enforcement interests, so be it." Lauren studied him. "You have ethics? In your line of work? Everyone has lines they won't cross. Mine just exist in a different framework than yours." He checked his watch. "I need to attend a meeting. You'll be safe here. Marcus will be stationed in the building if you need anything." "Marcus?" "Head of my security team. You saw him briefly yesterday when he arrived to handle the cleanup." "The cleanup? You mean disposing of evidence?" "I mean ensuring law enforcement wouldn't ask questions I'd prefer not to answer." Sebastian moved toward the door, then paused. "Lauren, I know this is difficult, but you're safe here. That's more than I can promise if you were anywhere else." After he left, Lauren explored the apartment more thoroughly. It was impersonal, expensive, but empty of personal touches. Like Sebastian didn't actually live here so much as use it as a very luxurious storage unit. She found clothes in the guest room closet that fit surprisingly well. Toiletries in the bathroom that were high-end but unopened. This wasn't just a safe house, it was a prepared space. Sebastian had done this before. Hidden people, kept them secure, managed threats. That should have been reassuring. Instead, it made Lauren wonder how many people had been in this apartment before her. And how many of them had survived the experience? 3 days passed. Sebastian came and went, sometimes for hours, sometimes just briefly. He'd update Lauren on the situation, which remained complicated and evolving, and then disappear to handle his various operations. Lauren was going stir-crazy. On the 4th evening, Sebastian returned earlier than usual, looking more tired than she'd seen him. "Bad day?" Lauren asked from the couch where she'd been reading one of the many books she'd found. "Long day." "There's a difference." He poured whiskey for both of them without asking. It had become their ritual. "The trafficking organization is proving more entrenched than I initially assessed. Dismantling it requires careful strategy. And by dismantling, you mean ... Destroying their operational capacity, eliminating their leadership, ensuring they can't reconstitute." He handed her a glass. "Some through legal channels, providing evidence to law enforcement. Some through less official means. You're going after them personally. I'm ensuring problems are solved." "Methods vary based on effectiveness." Lauren took a sip of whiskey. "Can I ask you something?" "You're going to regardless of my answer." "Fair point." She studied him. "Why do you care? You said trafficking violates your operational ethics, but you're a criminal. Why would you have ethics at all?" Sebastian was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer than usual. 10 years ago, my sister disappeared. She was 17, beautiful, trusting. She'd been talking to someone online who promised her modeling opportunities in Europe. My father tried to stop her, but she was stubborn, independent. He paused, staring into his whiskey. We found her 3 months later. She'd been trafficked, sold to the highest bidder, used in ways that... He stopped, jaw tight. She didn't survive what they did to her. And the men responsible disappeared before we could find them. Sebastian, I'm so sorry. I learned something from that experience. Power without purpose is meaningless. So I chose a purpose. Nothing like what happened to Katya happens in my city. Not while I have the resources to prevent it. Lauren felt tears prick her eyes. That's why you stopped the kidnapping. That's why I'll always stop kidnappings. That's why trafficking organizations don't survive in my territory. And that's why I'll ensure the people who tried to take Jennifer Morrison never try again. By killing them. If necessary, yes. Does that horrify you? Lauren thought about it honestly. It should. But knowing why you do it, knowing what happened to Katya. No, it doesn't horrify me. It makes you make sense. Something shifted in Sebastian's expression. Most people would call me a monster for what I do. Most people don't know why you do it. They sat in silence, drinking whiskey, both processing the conversation. Finally, Sebastian said, "You're handling this remarkably well. Most people would have broken down by now. Who says I haven't? I cry in the shower so you won't hear. I know. The walls aren't that thick." Lauren felt her face heat with embarrassment. "You knew and didn't say anything? You're entitled to process trauma privately. I wasn't going to intrude on that. That's surprisingly thoughtful for a crime boss." "I'm full of surprises." He refilled both their glasses. "Can I ask you something now?" "Fair's fair. Why did you stay? On that street, when the kidnapping happened, why didn't you just walk away?" Lauren considered the question. "Because someone needed help. Because I couldn't just pretend I didn't see what was happening. Because ignoring evil makes you complicit in it. That's a very moral position. Is it? Or is it just human decency?" "In my experience, human decency is rarer than you'd think." Sebastian looked at her directly. "You're unusual, Lauren. In a good way. Unusual how? You witnessed violence, got pulled into a dangerous situation, and you're handling it with grace. Most people would be demanding to leave, threatening lawsuits, making everything harder." "Would that work? The demanding to leave?" "No, but it would make the situation more unpleasant for both of us." Lauren laughed despite herself. "I'll try to continue being unusually graceful then. I'd appreciate that." The evening stretched into night. They talked about everything and nothing. Sebastian's childhood before his sister died. Lauren's career aspirations. The strange parallel worlds they'd lived in until this moment brought them crashing together. "Do you regret it?" Sebastian asked as midnight approached. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time? I regret that woman was attacked. I regret that trafficking exists. But being here, talking to you, learning about your world? Lauren considered. No, I don't regret that. Even knowing you might not be able to return to your normal life? I'm starting to think normal is overrated. Sebastian smiled, genuinely smiled in a way that transformed his entire face from severe to almost warm. You're definitely unusual, Lauren. I'll take that as a compliment. It is. If you're listening to this story, the narration seems to whisper through the luxury penthouse, and you want to know what happens when forced proximity becomes something deeper. When protection transforms into connection, when a crime boss and a witness find unexpected understanding in isolation. Subscribe to the channel. Because Lauren and Mafia Boss Sebastian are discovering that sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't the threat outside, it's the feelings growing inside. And sometimes being trapped together is exactly what two people need to see each other clearly. A week into her stay, Lauren woke to find Sebastian in the kitchen making breakfast. Actual breakfast: eggs, toast, fresh fruit arranged on plates. You cook? She asked, surprised. I have many skills people don't expect. He gestured to the table. Sit, eat. We need to talk about next steps. Lauren sat, both curious and nervous. Next steps? The trafficking organization is nearly dismantled. 3 of their main operators have been arrested. 2 more have disappeared permanently, and their financial infrastructure is frozen. Jennifer Morrison's case is proceeding smoothly. That's good news. Yes, which means soon you'll be able to leave here safely. Lauren should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt something uncomfortably like disappointment. How soon? Few more days. Maybe a week. I want to ensure there's no blowback, no revenge attempts, no loose ends that might come after you. And then I just ... Go back to my normal life? Sebastian set down his fork. Yes, you'll need to be cautious for a while, vary your routines. Stay aware of your surroundings. But the immediate threat will be gone. What about you? What about me? I'll just never see you again? After spending 2 weeks essentially living together? Something flickered in Sebastian's expression. That would be safest. For both of us. But not what you want? He was quiet for a long moment. What I want is irrelevant. What's safe matters more. Sebastian. Lauren, I'm a criminal. I run an organization that operates outside the law. Knowing me puts you at risk. Being associated with me makes you a target. The smart thing, the safe thing, is for you to return to your life and forget this ever happened. And if I don't want to forget, then you're making a dangerous choice. Maybe I'm tired of safe choices. Sebastian studied her face. You don't know what you're saying. Don't I? I've spent 2 weeks watching you work, talking to you, understanding how you think. I know exactly what I'm saying. You know the sanitized version. You haven't seen the worst of what I do. Then show me. What? Lauren leaned forward. Show me. The worst of what you do. Let me decide for myself if it's something I can handle. Sebastian looked genuinely surprised. You want to see my world? Really see it? Yes, because I'm tired of you making decisions for me about what I can handle. Let me see it and choose for myself. He studied her for a long moment. Then, okay, tonight. I have a situation that needs handling. You can come. But Lauren, once you see this, you can't unsee it. Are you sure? I'm sure. That evening, Lauren found herself in the back of Sebastian's car, driving to an address in an industrial area she didn't recognize. Marcus was driving, another man she didn't know in the passenger seat. Where are we going? Lauren asked. To meet someone who violated an agreement. Someone who needs to understand consequences. They arrived at a warehouse. Inside, a man was tied to a chair, conscious but clearly terrified. Vincent, Sebastian said calmly, approaching the man. We had an agreement. You were supposed to cease operations in the waterfront district. I did! I swear I did. Then explain why my people found 3 of your runners working the docks yesterday. They were independent. I didn't authorize. Sebastian held up a hand, silencing him. Don't lie to me, Vincent. It's insulting. He pulled up a photo on his phone, showed it to Vincent. Your nephew, working my docks, selling your product. On Tuesday, Vincent's face went pale. Sebastian's voice remained calm, almost gentle. You have two choices. Choice 1. You shut down completely. Liquidate your inventory, pay the penalty for breach of contract, and leave my territory permanently. Choice 2. I shut you down. Your operations disappear, your people find new employment, and you double quotes, he paused meaningfully. You disappear too. That's not a choice. Of course it is. You're choosing how this ends with your dignity or without it. Vincent was shaking. If I leave, I have nothing. No income, no reputation, nothing. Then you should have honored our original agreement. Sebastian straightened. You have 24 hours to decide. Marcus will escort you home. Think carefully, Vincent. Your next choice determines everything. Marcus untied Vincent and let him out. Sebastian turned to Lauren. That's how I handle violations. No violence, no immediate threats. Just clear consequences and inevitable follow-through. Does it change how you see me? Lauren thought about what she'd witnessed. You gave him a choice. A limited one, yes. More than most people in your position would. Perhaps. But is it enough? Is giving someone the illusion of choice when really there's only one viable option, is that mercy or manipulation? I don't know, Lauren admitted. But it's more than nothing. They drove back in silence. At the penthouse, Sebastian poured whiskey, and they sat in their now familiar spots. You handled that well, he said finally. Most people would have been disturbed by what you saw. I was disturbed. But I also understood why you did it that way. You could have been violent. Could have made an example through force. Instead, you used psychology and inevitability. That's a very clinical way to describe threatening someone's livelihood and existence. It's an honest way. Lauren took a sip of whiskey. Sebastian, can I ask you something? Always. If I wanted to stay in your world not just for safety but because I chose to, would you let me? He looked at her intently. Why would you want that? Because I've seen more honesty in 2 weeks with you than in years of normal life. Because you're complicated and thoughtful and trying to operate with ethics in an unethical world. Because double quotes, she paused, gathering courage. Because I think I'm falling for you. Sebastian set down his glass carefully. Lauren, I know it's insane. I know we've only known each other 2 weeks. I know you're a criminal and I'm supposed to be horrified, but I'm not. I'm fascinated and interested. And falling. He stood and walked to the window, back to her. If you stay in my world, everything changes. Your safety, your freedom, your future. Everything becomes complicated in ways you can't imagine. I'm choosing complication over safety. You might regret that. Or I might not. Sebastian turned to face her. If we do this, if you choose to be part of my world, there's no going back. Once you're in, you're in. Understood? Understood. He crossed the room and pulled her up from the couch. Then understand this too. I'm falling for you as well. Have been since you witnessed that kidnapping and didn't run screaming. You're brave and honest and entirely too good for someone like me. But I'm selfish enough to want you anyway. Then be selfish. I'm choosing you, Sebastian Volkov. All of you. The crime boss and the man, the danger and the ethics. All of it. He kissed her then, deep and desperate and full of things neither of them could say out loud. When they pulled apart, Sebastian rested his forehead against hers. This is a terrible idea. The best ones usually are. We're going to make each other's lives impossible. I look forward to it. Sebastian laughed. A real laugh, warm and genuine. You're remarkable, you know that? You've mentioned it. Several times. Because it keeps surprising me. They stood in the penthouse, holding each other, both aware they'd just made a choice that would change everything. Outside, the city continued its endless rhythm. Inside, two people from completely different worlds decided to build something together anyway. Because sometimes the most dangerous choice is the only honest one. The threat was officially neutralized 5 days later. Sebastian came home. Lauren had started thinking of the penthouse as home with the news. It's done. The trafficking organization is completely dismantled. Jennifer Morrison's case is proceeding, and I've ensured there are no remaining elements that could come after witnesses. So I'm safe? As safe as anyone connected to me can be. Which is safer than most, but not absolute. Lauren set down the book she'd been reading. What does that mean for us? Sebastian sat beside her. It means you need to decide. You can return to your life. I'll ensure you're protected, that you have security if needed. Your job will be waiting. I've spoken to your employer and explained you were a witness requiring protective custody. Everything can go back to normal. Or you stay with me. In my world, officially. What does officially mean? It means you're not just someone I'm protecting. You're someone I'm choosing. And in my world, that makes you significant. Protected at the highest level, but also visible is important to me. Which comes with its own complications. Lauren thought about her apartment, her job, her normal life. Thought about spreadsheets and commutes and the comfortable predictability she'd known before. Then she thought about Sebastian. About conversations at midnight. About understanding his complicated ethics. About the way he looked at her like she was something precious and dangerous at the same time. I'm staying, she said. You're sure? Completely sure. Sebastian pulled her close. Then there are things you need to understand. Rules you'll need to follow. Not because I'm controlling you, but because staying safe in my world requires strategy. Tell me. Over the next hour, Sebastian explained the reality of being connected to him. The security protocols, the careful management of public perception, the way she'd need to be aware of everything around her. You'll have protection. Marcus and his team will ensure you're covered. But you can't be careless. People who want to hurt me will see you as leverage. Like those men saw Jennifer Morrison as leverage against her investigation? Exactly like that. Which is why you need to be smart, aware, and willing to follow security protocols without argument. I can do that. Can you? Because it means giving up privacy sometimes. Means having guards shadow you. Means your life won't be completely your own. Lauren looked at him seriously. Sebastian, I spent 2 weeks in protective custody. I already know what giving up freedom looks like. And I'm choosing to stay anyway. He studied her face. Why? Really why? Because you're honest. Because you're trying to do something good in a world that's mostly bad. Because you saw me as someone worth protecting when you didn't have to. And because I think we could be good together. We could also be a disaster. That too. But at least it'll be interesting. Sebastian kissed her softer this time, less desperate, more certain. Okay, then we do this. Really do this? What happens now? Now I introduce you to my world properly. My people need to know you're important. My associates need to understand you're protected. And you need to learn how to navigate spaces where danger is always just beneath the surface. It was daunting, terrifying, even. But Lauren found herself excited rather than afraid. When do we start? Tonight. I have a meeting with several organization heads. You'll attend with me. Let them see you, understand your significance. Is that safe? As safe as anything in my world. These are people I work with regularly. Showing up with you sends a message about your importance. No one will touch you after tonight. That evening, Lauren dressed in clothes Sebastian provided expensive, elegant, making her look like she belonged in his world. They drove to a restaurant that looked closed but clearly wasn't. Inside, several men were already seated. They stood when Sebastian entered, their eyes immediately going to Lauren with calculated interest. Gentlemen, Sebastian said. This is Lauren. She's with me. Officially. The meaning was clear. Lauren wasn't just a date or a passing interest. She was significant. Pleasure, one of the men said, extending a hand. Dimitri. I run operations in Brighton Beach. Lauren shook hands with each man, memorizing names and details. These were dangerous people. That was obvious in the way they moved, the careful way they spoke, the constant assessment in their eyes. But they treated her with respect. Because Sebastian had claimed her. The meeting was primarily business territory discussions, profit-sharing arrangements, conflict resolution. Lauren watched Sebastian work, fascinated by how he navigated competing interests, how he negotiated without ever raising his voice. After, in the car heading back, Sebastian asked, "What did you think?" They're terrified of you. Respectful. There's a difference. No, they're terrified. But they respect you too. That's a powerful combination. It's necessary. Fear without respect creates rebellion. Respect without fear creates vulnerability. I need both. Back at the penthouse, Lauren finally asked the question that had been building. What are we, Sebastian? Really? He pulled her close. Whatever we decide to be. But I want you to understand something. I don't do casual. If you're in my life, you're in my life completely. I'll protect you, provide for you, make sure nothing touches you. But I'll also expect loyalty and trust in return. You'll have both, even when things get difficult. Even when my world bleeds into ours in unpleasant ways. Even then, Sebastian kissed her forehead. Then we're together. Officially. Completely. Whatever that means in my world. What does it mean? It means you're mine. And I'm yours. And we face whatever comes together. It should have felt possessive. Instead, it felt like safety. 3 weeks after Lauren officially entered Sebastian's world, the first real test came. She was leaving a coffee shop when a car pulled up beside her. A man got out, not threatening, exactly, but deliberately blocking her path. Lauren? He asked. I'm Detective Morrison, NYPD. I'd like to ask you some questions. Lauren's training kicked in. About what? About Sebastian Volkov. Your relationship with him. And what you might know about his operations. I don't know anything about operations. We're in a relationship. That's all. That's all. The detective pulled out photos. You attended a meeting with known criminals 3 weeks ago. That's more than just a relationship. Marcus appeared from nowhere, positioning himself between Lauren and the detective. Miss Lauren doesn't answer questions without legal representation. And you are? Someone ensuring she understands her rights. Come on, Lauren. They got in the waiting car and drove away. Lauren was shaking. They're investigating me? She asked. They're investigating Sebastian. You're just leverage. Easier to pressure the girlfriend than the man himself. Marcus called someone. Boss, we have a situation. At the penthouse, Sebastian was already waiting. Tell me exactly what happened. Lauren recounted the encounter. Sebastian's expression grew darker with each detail. They're escalating. Trying to find weak points in my organization. And they think you're one. Am I? No, because you don't know anything prosecutable. But they'll pressure you anyway. Try to find something, anything they can use. What do I do? You say nothing. Refer everything to lawyers. Never speak to law enforcement without representation present. He pulled her close. I'm sorry. I warned you this would happen, but knowing it intellectually and experiencing it are different. I can handle it. Can you? Because it's going to get worse before it gets better. They'll follow you. Question people you know. Try to make your life uncomfortable until you give them something. Then I'll keep giving them nothing. Sebastian studied her face. You're serious. Completely. I chose this, Sebastian. I chose you. I'm not backing down because some detective asked uncomfortable questions. He kissed her fierce and grateful. You're stronger than you look. I get that a lot. Over the next weeks, the pressure intensified. Detective Morrison approached Lauren multiple times. Her friends were questioned. Her former employer received inquiries. But Lauren stayed silent. Referred everything to the lawyers Sebastian provided. Maintained the position that she was simply in a relationship, nothing more. You're handling this remarkably well, Sebastian said one evening. Most people crack under this kind of pressure. Most people don't have as much reason to stay strong. Meaning? Meaning I love you. And I'm not giving them anything that could hurt you. It was the first time either of them had said it. The word hung in the air between them, heavy with significance. Sebastian cupped her face. Say that again. I love you. I love you too. More than I should. More than is probably wise. He kissed her gently. Thank you. For staying strong. For choosing me despite everything. Always. The investigation eventually moved on, not because they found nothing, but because Lauren gave them nothing. She was clean, uninvolved in Sebastian's operations, just a woman in a relationship. Detective Morrison gave up, moved on to other leads. Left Lauren alone. It's over. Sebastian told her. They can't touch you. Did you ever doubt I'd stay silent? No, but I'm grateful anyway. 6 months after Lauren moved in officially, Sebastian came home with a question. How do you feel about travel? Depends on the destination. Italy. 2 weeks. Completely legitimate business. I'm meeting with some associates in Rome and Florence. Thought you might enjoy seeing the country. Is it safe? As safe as anything. These are established relationships, friendly territory. We'd be well protected. Then yes, absolutely yes. Italy was beautiful. Lauren fell in love with the architecture, the food, the way Sebastian seemed more relaxed away from the constant pressure of running his organization. They walked through Rome like normal tourists. Ate at small restaurants. Visited museums. You're different here, Lauren observed one evening over wine. How so? Less guarded. More ... Just Sebastian instead of Sebastian Volkov, organizational head. That's because here I can be. No one knows me. No one has expectations. I'm just a man on vacation with his girlfriend. Do you wish you could be that all the time? Sebastian considered. Sometimes. But then I remember that the power I have allows me to do good, to stop trafficking, to help people like Jennifer Morrison. The cost is worth the outcome. That's very utilitarian. It's honest. On their last night in Florence, walking along the Arno River, Sebastian stopped suddenly. Marry me. Lauren turned, shocked. What? Marry me, I know it's fast. I know we've only been together 6 months, but I don't want anyone else. I can't imagine my life without you. So marry me. Sebastian, I don't have a ring yet. I'll get you whatever you want. But I needed to ask. Needed you to know that this is everything to me. Lauren felt tears streaming down her face. Yes. Yes? Yes, I'll marry you. You ridiculous, wonderful, dangerous man. Yes. He lifted her off her feet, kissing her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. When he set her down, both of them were laughing and crying at the same time. We're insane, Lauren said. Completely insane. But happy. So happy. They married quietly 2 months later. Small ceremony, just Marcus and a few of Sebastian's most trusted people. Lauren's friend Emma came skeptical, but supportive. You're really doing this? Emma asked before the ceremony. I really am. He's a criminal, Lauren. He's a man who loves me, who's honest about what he is, who makes me feel safe and challenged and alive. Lauren smiled. I'd rather have complicated honesty than simple lies. I hope you're right. So do I. The ceremony was beautiful. Simple but meaningful. Sebastian's vows were honest. He promised protection, honesty, loyalty. Not perfect love, but real love. Lauren promised the same. And as they kissed as husband and wife, Lauren thought about how strange her life had become. How a witnessed kidnapping had led to protective custody, had led to love with the most unexpected person. Worth it? Sebastian whispered. Every moment. Sebastian, tall, 6'3", thick, slightly wavy dark brown hair kept short at the sides, piercing almost black eyes with a cold edge, warm olive to tan skin tone. Sharp masculine features with a permanent hint of danger. Athletic build with broad shoulders. Usually dressed in dark tailored suits that amplify his intimidating presence. Posture calm, yet unmistakably dominant. Lauren. Average height, 5'5". Long wavy dark brown hair. Deep warm brown eyes. Medium to dark skin tone with a natural golden undertone. Graceful yet weary posture. Simple professional outfits in neutral earth tones. A quiet strength beneath her softness. The city. Chicago night. Skyscrapers reflecting gold and blue lights. Rain-wet streets shimmering. Cold air, soft urban noise. Elegant sense of loneliness. A year into their marriage, the real test came. Sebastian came home looking grim. We have a problem. What kind? Federal investigation. Not just into me, into everyone associated with me. They're going after wives, families, anyone close to organization heads. Trying to find weak points. They're coming after me? They're going to try. Grand jury subpoena. They'll ask about everything: finances, conversations, anything they think might be useful. Lauren felt cold. What do I do? You tell the truth about our relationship. You invoke spousal privilege for any conversations we've had. And you give them nothing about operations because you know nothing about operations. He pulled her close. But Lauren, they'll pressure you, threaten you. Try to scare you into cooperating. I won't. You say that now. But when you're under oath, facing prosecution for obstruction, it becomes real. Sebastian, look at me. Lauren waited until his eyes met hers. I chose this life. I chose you. I knew what I was getting into. I'm not breaking under pressure. The grand jury was exactly as horrible as expected. Hours of questions, aggressive prosecutors, implied threats about conspiracy charges. Lauren held firm. Answered truthfully about their relationship. Invoked privilege. Gave them nothing useful. You're protecting a criminal, the prosecutor said. I'm protecting my husband. There's a difference. Is there? When your husband runs a criminal organization? Alleged criminal organization. He's never been convicted of anything. Yet. Lauren looked the prosecutor directly in the eye. Are we done? Because if you're just going to make accusations without questions, I'd like to leave. They dismissed her 2 hours later, frustrated but empty-handed. Outside, Sebastian was waiting. How bad? Unpleasant. But I gave them nothing. He pulled her into his arms, right there on the courthouse steps, not caring about photographers or witnesses. I love you. God, I love you. I love you too. And I meant what I said. I'm not breaking. The investigation eventually concluded without charges. Once again, Lauren's loyalty had protected them both. Thank you, Sebastian said that night. For staying strong. For not giving up on me. I'll never give up on you. Even if things get worse? Even if the pressure increases? Even then, we're in this together, remember? Whatever comes. Sebastian kissed her forehead. What did I do to deserve you? Stopped a kidnapping and then kidnapped me yourself. Seemed fair. He laughed. That's one way to look at it. 3 years after witnessing a kidnapping attempt, Lauren Volkov stood in the penthouse that had become home, looking out at the city she'd learned to navigate in entirely new ways. Her life was unrecognizable from before. She didn't have her old job instead. She managed several legitimate businesses in Sebastian's portfolio. She had security following her everywhere. She attended meetings with dangerous people and thought nothing of it. And she was happy. Thinking deep thoughts? Sebastian asked, coming up behind her. Thinking about how strange life is. How one moment can change everything. Regrets. Never, you? Only that I didn't kidnap you sooner. Lauren laughed. That's a terrible thing to say, but honest. They stood together, watching the city lights. Sebastian's phone buzzed. It always did, but he ignored it for once. I love you, he said, more than I thought possible. You've made my life better in ways I can't articulate. You're getting sentimental in your old age. I'm 36. That's not old. Ancient for a crime boss. Alleged crime boss. Right. Alleged. They laughed, comfortable in their complicated life. The penthouse had become more than a safe house. It was filled with their things now, books they both read, photos from Italy and other trips, evidence of a life built together. Jennifer Morrison sent a message, Sebastian said. She successfully prosecuted 3 trafficking organizations this year. Wanted to thank you for helping that day. I didn't do anything. You stopped it. You witnessed it. You stayed when you could have run. That matters. Lauren turned to face him. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I had run? All the time. And I'm grateful you didn't. Me too. They kissed, and somewhere in the city, Marcus was probably rolling his eyes at another romantic moment, preparing to protect the most stubborn couple he'd ever worked for. But that was his job. Lauren and Sebastian's job was simpler. Love each other honestly. Face danger together. And build something real in a world that rarely allowed for reality. 3 years in, they were doing pretty well. And they weren't stopping anytime soon. In a moment of violence on a city street, Lauren became a witness. But Mafia Boss Sebastian didn't just protect her from external threats. He gave her honesty, vulnerability, and choice in a world where most people have none. She could have left after the danger passed. Instead, she stayed and built a life with the most dangerous man she'd ever met. Because sometimes the person who kidnaps you to keep you safe becomes the only person who makes you feel free. Sometimes forced proximity reveals the truth about who people really are. And sometimes, witnessing darkness is exactly what you need to recognize light.